Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 23rd day of May, 2022. Well, I hope you all had a good weekend. We sure did. We got to go see our grandchildren. My husband planted some apple trees, one for each one of them, so 3. And then we had some apricot seeds he planted and from our apricot tree, and he took 3 of those. I have no idea how many trees he's got. It's like, dude, stop. We don't need any more trees. We've got a ton of trees on the property, so we don't need any more, but he wanted them to have some. And so he planted 3 of those, and we took 6 trees down, and is the whole point. Anyway, so yesterday before we came home, we took them out into their pasture with mom and dad, and well, mom brought the baby out a little bit later, but anyway, the oldest 2 helped grandpa plant the trees. And that I got pictures. It was just adorable, because they're 4 and 2. They're going to be, they turn 5 and 3 in July, but right now they're just precious, Anyway, that's enough of grandma stuff. So I hope you guys had a good weekend and had a good week last week. We're going to be doing some planting. What we haven't planted, I can't plant everything, but we've been looking at the weather, and my husband's like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's go for it. And I'm like, no. Some things we can, but some of it, I don't know. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait for my zucchini and my beans and stuff like that. So anyhow, all of the stuff I put up on the blog is up over at Stepping Aside. The web address is imsteppingaside.com. If this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. Join our little tarot and rune family. But we open each time with the day's esoteric influences from the post I do over on the blog. I also put that is one of the things I put in the newsletter that goes out on Saturday nights. There's also a Patreon page if you want to support me over there. There's links to everything below the video. If you just click on show more, you'll see all that. Scroll down a little bit though, because I have a little section first about describing what all this is that I do here. Anyway, so if you want to support me over there, that's great. I also have a Medium page where you can go and see some stuff over there. If you have a Medium account like I do, that's a fun place. I really like Medium. But anyhow, let's look at today's esoteric influences. We have, with the 23rd day, we have a numerology of 5. So travel, protection, the pentagram, innovation, change, variety. Perth Rose, the rune from the Elder Futhark for today. It probably won't be, though, for the reading, because we're going to do a separate one for that. So understanding fate, it could mean birth. Depending on how it's turned, it can be open to the right, meaning birth, to the left, meaning death. Downward is sort of manifestation into form. That could be childbirth itself. Upward, it can represent a cauldron. But it's cause and effect, synchronicity, divination, asking us to consider who controls our fate. Do we control it, or do we allow that other people to do that for us? Do we give that away to circumstance or to other people? Let's see. Karser is the Geomancy rune for today. Now that is considered an evil influence by geomancers of old. It's self-imprisonment, it's attainment, it's you being bound by outmoded ideas, restrictions, but it's usually restriction that's self-imposed, although, it could be, it could be laws or something as well restricting you from doing what you want to do. But there's also an element of fate involved with Karser as well, along with Perthrow. So there's a lot of influence of fate today in determining who's going to control that, if it's going to be you or someone else. And you have to realize some of that's a choice we make, and we don't realize we're making that choice. Anyhow, the sun's in Gemini, the moon's in Pisces, and the planetary governance today is the moon if you're working magic. So trust your intuition today, particularly if you're thinking about changing your career. In fact, there's sort of a career slant for most of the week's influences this week. Although you need to be realistic, you may be looking for a more spiritually or emotionally satisfying environment in order that you find deeper meaning to your work. That's another aspect this week that seems to be a recurrent theme throughout the week. Let go of issues that no longer serve and know that your fate is your own. Through careful analysis, you'll gain a better understanding of how to assert yourself so that as you pursue newer experiences, you do so while respecting and supporting the contributions of others. Know that it's through a collaborative effort with others that you'll gain the most insight. Because you get the spark of differing ideas, don't you? And you get to hear what other people have to say. It's like if someone sends an email out and says, let's do this, and please respond to the email. Well, what you don't get, if you don't say, let's come together for a meeting, a little conference, if you will, and let's talk about something, there's a very big difference between the two ways of doing that. You do it all by email, you don't hear the disparate voices of people saying, well, what about this? Or someone saying, well, what about that? To consider the whole picture. You get only the perspective of the individual writing that email, and that just usually isn't enough. So it's that kind of give and take there that I think really has to focus on the true collaborative efforts of getting together and talking about things. So that seems to be what today's esoteric influences are. And I just knocked a candle over. Fortunately, it's not lit. Well, my area here is a mess. I need to clean it up. So we got home late enough yesterday that I just sort of collapsed in my chair after driving 3.5 hours. That's always fun. Usually we would do it all in one day, go down and come back in the same day, but we didn't this time. We spent the night. Anyway, today's rune for the reading today is Uruz. Now, Uruz means the oryx, and the oryx were, although I guess they're trying to recreate them, they have DNA of them, and so they're trying to recreate, because they're extinct now. But they were like big bison, and you can kind of see the strength of, if you imagine a bison, this would be the head area, and you can see the back, and you see the legs coming down into creation. It's really a manifestation rune. Uruz is thought to be the primal forming essence, and so if you're thinking about, especially in terms of today's esoteric influences, who is controlling your fate, Uruz would be really a factor in that, wouldn't it? Are you using your own inner strength to do that, or are you, again, giving it away to other people? There's just times when I think we give too much away to other people and what other people want or demand. It's like, well, no, I can say no to something, and we forget that, I think. So let's see what we have today. Oh, it looks like we have Albus. Albus for the Geomancy rune. I look at the Elder Futhark rune, the first one, Uruz in this case, as the as above side of things, and then there we have it. And then I look at the Geomancy rune as the below side, so the ego side or personality side or form side of things. But here's Albus. Now, Albus means the sage. I mean, if you, I guess J.K. Rowling took some Geomancy runes for some of the names of the characters. And Albus Dumbledore was, of course, the sage, and you had Rubeus Hagrid, who was a little more out of control, really, and not so much inner control there. But Rubeus in Geomancy is considered misuse of force, so it's a little bit different in Geomancy. But I thought it was interesting that she took those as names, because really, Albus for that particular character is quite appropriate. You're talking about the sage, wisdom, inner wisdom, a wise mentor. And so when you're manifesting your own fate today, if you want to draw in the esoteric influences to this, with Uruz, then you need to do it from a higher level of awareness with Albus. But we'll use those as the significators for today's reading, and I'll just shuffle just a little bit more. I've been shuffling here prior to. I'll just do a couple more times and then we'll cut the deck and we'll start pulling some cards. Initially, I'm going to do 3, as those of you who have been here before know, and thank you so much for coming back if you are. So, but then if we need them, we'll take anywhere from 1 to 2 more cards. And so typically if I need another card, we're going to do a 4-card reading, but sometimes I've been known to, go out on a limb and take a 5th card. I usually do that to just give us a little bit more information, sometimes about the whole reading, but oftentimes about a particular card that I've already drawn. So let's go ahead and we'll cut the deck. We'll take the lower half, and we'll take our first 3 cards. Okay, so we have overall here. I'll just put these back together. Well, I don't want to do that. Cut it back again. Overall, we have the Sun, the Queen of Wands, and we have the 7 of Wands. And so we have a run on Wands, so the fire element. And with the Sun, you're also talking fire element. So really, I think that aligns really well with Uruz, even though Uruz, I think Uruz is water, isn't it? Let me see. Yeah, it's a water element rune. But the cool part about it is you're still dealing with manifestation energy with Uruz, and so you could think in terms of that creative force, the life force, if you will. And you certainly have that with the Sun. With the Sun, you're talking the 19th card from the Major Arcana, and so you're looking at a numerology of 1, or new beginnings, or talent, or leadership, or vitality. So it's that spark of life that leads you into whatever you're doing here today. Whatever you're going to manifest from a higher level of awareness, from a soul level awareness, letting higher self come in and guide your process. And I think that Albus, the Geomancy rune, also implies that, with that higher level of wisdom. I mean, in terms of tarot, in terms of the Major Arcana, the Hermit would be a really good complement to Albus, where you're standing, the sage, the shaman, the whatever is standing up, on top of a mountain with his lighted Merkaba lantern, looking down upon creation, getting a higher perspective. So I kind of equate the two together, realistically. But here we have a child on the back of a horse, a white horse. Again, white is a symbol of purity or newness. You see a bright orangish red flag waving in the wind there. And again, that's going to correspond with the Sun. It's also going to correspond with the fire element. We see sunflowers behind, also doing the same, behind a stone wall. Got some masonry there. You see the sun and its brilliant rays up above in the sky. So the Sun's going to be about happiness and fulfillment. It's also about the self. Think about your sun sign in exoteric type of astrology, the more traditional astrology. You're looking at your sun sign to get the clear underlying message of who you are. In esoteric astrology, it's a little bit different. It's not that you don't look at that, but you're looking at your rising sign. And so for me, my sun sign's Libra, but my rising sign is Virgo. And so that's really, in terms of esoteric astrology, what they believe is that's going to give you a little bit more understanding of what the soul's purpose is. It's not that the main primary sun sign is not the one, right? That's important. It is. Also, your moon is also important, where that is. Mine's in Gemini. And so, anyway. But here you're looking at a new day, really, here. And so what are you going to manifest today? What type of, and in terms of also new day, you could also think in terms of new perspective, maybe. But you're also looking at clarity, which also is part of Albus, and success, reunion, the light returning, awakening. That's another thing you can look at in terms of the sun. And again, then with that in mind, that, and again, the sun is a soul archetype card. So you're really talking about, what's my soul trying to tell me here? What's higher self trying to say, hey, you know, don't let your ego run amok here and think about this from a higher perspective. What are you going to manifest today with this Uruz energy? And are you going to do it with wisdom, or are you going to let the ego come in and say, no, let's go do something else, you know, that serves me. It doesn't serve your higher purpose, in other words. Next, we have the Queen of Wands. Are you going to do this from a standpoint of inner authority, in other words? Now, the Queen of Wands is an interesting person. She's got her little familiar here, her cat. She's got lions here on her throne. You see them also up here on the... it's really, when you see anything back here on the back of the throne, that's typically the family crest, is what you're looking at. She holds a sunflower in her hands. You know, Slava Ukraini. And so she's also holding a staff, which is that's what they're calling wands. I don't know. Sometimes you'll see an actual wand, but oftentimes you'll see a staff. A little bit of greenery growing out of it there. But you're looking at, when you look at the court, you're looking at either the individual on the court, so someone, a woman with authority, in this case, you know, a queen. Or you're looking at the qualities therein. So she's talented, she's successful. Again, she's strict, she can be generous. You look at the Queen of Swords, which is my favorite queen. You're basically looking at someone there who's cutting through deception, cutting through illusion. So there you have the air element, which talks about that. It's the more mental processes. It's about fairness and justice and balance with that. But with wands, again, you're talking the fire element. And so there's all this vitality, there's all this energy about this. But again, are you going to have that energy and channel it into choosing how you manifest things? Or are you, again, going to be swayed or allow your control to be taken away by somebody else? Which brings us then to the 7. See, basically 7, and then we have a 1 energy for the 20, or for the 19 rather. 9 and 1 is 10, reduces to 1, so new beginnings. 1 and 7 is 8, and you're looking numerologically at the reading then as inner strength, material recognition. Again, if you're talking about this week's Esoteric Influences, you might be considering a career change, one that's more spiritually and emotionally satisfying. Taking that command with Uruz to manifest something different. You know, you've been dissatisfied for so long. It's like, okay, something's got to give here. Either I honor what I'm feeling inside, or I'm going to continue to be in this weird place where I'm not really in control of what I'm doing. I'm going along with the flow at the expense of what I really want and what I really need. And so with here, we're looking at standing our ground. He's up on well, you can tell right here, it's on a higher piece of ground here. You've got 6 other staffs here coming at him, and you can see he's in kind of a defensive posture. He's getting a lay of the land, so to speak, below him to see who's coming in at me, what's coming in at me, what are the considerations I need to make. But I'm going to stand my ground because I want what I want. And I deserve to have that. And so 7 is also about observation, and in a sense, that's what he's doing. He's observing. He's seeing what it is he's got to deal with. But he's assuming a defensive posture. Well, in martial arts, standing the way he's doing is leaving himself wide open, but that's another video for another time, really. But I mean, I used to teach karate, so I'm aware of these things. And so you would never tell a student, yeah, stand like that. Yeah, really. It's like, and open up your groin area to attack. Absolutely, stand that way. You know, open up your solar plexus to attack. Yeah, no, we would never do that. But it's what he's doing. He's in a defensive posture. He's trying to protect what he's trying to do there and what he needs. And so I wonder if this is actually, if we can align this with the esoteric influences. Let me look ahead on Thursdays for when we do Thursdays reading. Yeah, we're still talking about the process that's necessary to succeed, and we have a numerology of 8 on Thursday. That's leadership, material recognition, and approval and strength, which aligns with this. And strength is part of Uruz. But I think that we also have all ye's on Thursday, which is the link or the bridge between physical and higher awareness, and being able to draw that awareness into all of the things that we're thinking and doing, and the decisions we need to make. So I have to wonder if we're going to have a connected reading throughout the week here. With everything. That's kind of fun when it does that, when everything sort of dovetails together. It's like you get pieces and then you see the whole puzzle right together. And so maybe this is going to be a week where you are going to be able to make some changes and you can manifest what you want, but you've got to do it not on impulse, not impulsively. You've got to do it with higher awareness coming in, and being able to get above it all and see what's at stake, what the bigger picture is, and go from there. Make the decision you need to make, while honoring, if you can, how you really feel inside. You can get into a job where I mean, it might pay the bills, but you're not really feeling fulfilled. You don't really look forward to going there. There might be some aspects you like, but there's nothing emotionally or spiritually fulfilling about the experience. Maybe there's a lot of conflict in the job between people. Maybe you feel like you can't really be heard, or you can't get anything done, or because there's all this other nonsense coming in, and that could be reflective in the 7. But with the 7, you need to have some kind of a balance there, where you can see the whole picture, let it settle out, understand the bigger meaning behind whatever's going on. And if you can affect change in the position you're in to bring what you need to achieve all of that, well, great. But if you can't, it may be time to start looking elsewhere. Sometimes you can have a dialogue at your work where because if you're feeling that way, odds are other people are too. And so maybe you can all come together in a staff meeting and say, is there any way that we can do our jobs that maybe create better inner satisfaction here? So that's an option as well. Again, how are you going to manifest what you need to manifest? Are you going to do it with inner strength? Are you going to do it with higher awareness? Or is it going to be a bunch of impulsive stuff that really isn't going to get you anywhere in the long run? Is it all self-serving? Or is there some kind of a higher purpose to what you want to do today and over the next week or so? Something to think about anyway. So let me see where we are on time. It feels like we're getting to the end here. Yep, we're getting close. So again, I think that we probably don't need another card. Just understand that today we have an opportunity for some new beginnings, and with you taking the reins and wanting to actually be fulfilled in what you're doing. You making the decision, not somebody else making the decision. And if it's really important to you to do this, then it could be that you need to start looking somewhere else for something that might be just what you've always been waiting for, where you have a chance to manifest your own experience in a way that is more emotionally and spiritually satisfying for you. That's filled with more awakening and understanding with the Sun, that takes the inner authority that you have with the Queen of Wands to express your talent, and to say, look, this is who I am. This is what if you're interviewing somewhere, this is who I am. This is what I have to offer. These are the kinds of things I'm thinking about. This is the person that I am. This is what I can do to contribute to the work environment here, to make things better, to be a positive force in your business if you choose to hire me. That kind of a conversation you can have with whoever's interviewing you. But again, with the 7, you want to get above it all and understand the full picture, whether it's about the job you're thinking about taking, or because is it really going to give you what you need? Or to take a look at what's happening in your life currently. Understand what's at stake. Understand who's going to benefit, who's not. If you have a family, is what you're trying to do, is it ultimately going to be less money, than what you're taking in now? And is that going to be okay with your family? Does your spouse work? Do you have enough money coming in to be able to, for your family to function the way it wants to, Sometimes you can't just go and write the great novel and end up with half the income gone. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. You have to be able to see the bigger picture and to understand what's really at stake and what's coming in on you, and before you make any decision that you want to make. So. And again, that it all began with Uruz and how we manifest what we do, and with Albus. And are we going to do that from the standpoint of wisdom, or are we going to do that from the standpoint of ego? And of course, what I'm going to recommend: make it from the standpoint of Albus and wisdom. So anyhow, that's it. A nice way to start a Monday. Again, it looks like we're going to, depending on what Thursday's reading looks like, we could have this whole continuity between Esoteric Influences and the readings that we're doing this week. So anyhow, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Sometimes it's just not. Sometimes that's over there and this is over here, and for Monday, and then something else is for Thursday. So, and that's okay too. This gives you stuff to think about. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll click subscribe if you haven't, and come back, and especially for Thursday, when we do another edition of As Above, So Below. And as always, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.